Just incredibly grateful for the opportunities that our team has had to be able to go to the West Coast, to go to the East Coast, and twice, and now getting ready after our last homestands in our conference, going down to Florida. So it's been great for our group. We've been able to play against a bunch of different styles, and I think that has allowed us as a group to bond and figure some things out. Really happy to have Donetta back in the fold. Obviously, she's not 100% yet, but she's there, and there's a comfort about her presence being there, and we're going to figure out how to get her back in a heavy rotation as soon as, I think she's in shape enough to do so.
Great. We'll open with questions in the room.
You've talked a bunch about how non-conference play is kind of the tune-up for SEC play. What are the last couple of boxes you want to see checked before SEC?
Yeah, well, we have to be more efficient. We're efficient offensively as far as percentage-wise, but we need to be efficient as far as like scoring and taking advantage of opportunities. Right now, we're not scoring at the rate that we want. I don't think, and I think if we want to be competitive in the SEC, not only do we have to defend, but we have to score on the offensive end.
Is there a specific area of scoring that you're looking for, or
Yeah,
is it general?
just across the board. Just across the board. Right now, we're seeing like unique styles of defense, particularly because we are bigger than a lot of these teams. So like, they're like, we're used to a double team on Kira, but now she's seeing like the whole team guard her. So that's been different. We won't see that in the SEC as much. So we've had to adjust to that. But we definitely have to I think Maddie should be way more involved just because of the attention that Shakira brings. And then I think I like to see our perimeter, knock down some more shots because we're going to need to be able to do that. And then boxing out. We gotta rebound. We are not we had a couple solid games where we're almost at 50 or right at 50 rebounding, but I think in order for us to, accomplish what we want at the end of this season, we have to rebound the ball.
Coach, just going into tomorrow, who you look for in
I didn't get to coach against him last year. I had COVID. So, but watching the film, they bring back a lot of the same players. So I expect them to shoot the three ball pretty efficiently if we give them an opportunity. They try to have an inside game, but at the end of the day, they most times they have 5 people on the floor that can stretch it. So which will be good because, last time that happened, we had a loss. So this will be a great opportunity for us to kind of see how we've grown defensively since our first game in November. And I expect them to play hard. They just came off of a win. One of their players had like 27 points. They should be pretty revved up.
Any other questions in the room?
I'll ask a question, Coach. Through 10 games, we've seen a rotation of 4 different starting lineups, but with the 4 and the 5,
Yeah.
Maddie and Kira staying the same throughout. Do you anticipate just a rotation of the backcourt going into SEC play, or will we see Donetta come into the starting lineup anytime soon?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out. I would like to have a consistent rotation every night. No coach wants to move and shuffle pieces around. It's uneasy for the coach and it's uneasy for the team. Like usually if they know, okay, this is who they're going to play with, they can learn to adjust. But right now, if I'm going to move things around, this is the time. We have 3 more games. I'm going to try a lot of stuff just because I want to be sure when we go into conference, because the first 4 games, in my opinion, are crucial for us.
Anything else in the room? Great. We'll head to Zoom. Michael, go ahead.
Hey, yo, how are you?
Hi.
This is, I believe, the longest win streak for Ole Miss in about 21 years or so. Has the gravity of that hit you at all, especially where the program was when you took over?
No, but when I hear you say it I think there should be a campaign for me to make a little bit more money. No, it's been a tough journey. I tell you that, and it's not easy. Clearly, I mean, it's been 21 years, and it's not like we've been in the comfort of our home in the pavilion the whole time. So we've gone out, we've played P5 teams, teams with postseason experience, and we're going to finish the campaign with a Power Five opponent and a ranked opponent. And and then tomorrow, a team that played in the postseason, the NIT, just like us. So, it has not hit me. I'll probably think about it at the end of non-conference. Usually at the end of non-conference, I kind of look back and reflect on everything in its totality. But until then, I'm just trying to get to 10 games, man.
Thank you.
Thanks.
David, go ahead.
Hey,
Hey, what's up?
not much. Hey, we've seen what you're getting from AP
Yeah.
so far this season. Where do you need her to be? Where do you want her to be once you're in the thick of conference things?
Oh my God, I need 10-5 from her. Can I get 10-5? If I can get 10-5 from AP, we're cooking with fish grease. You can tell I've been in Mississippi for a while, but we need her to just continue to improve every time, night in and night out. A couple of weeks ago, I sat her down. I said, AP, enough is enough. Like, I need to get you in the rotation. I need you to play. I think you bring a different dynamic. She's starting to see that, but she's working through, coming back from the injury. So I'm going to continue to push her and just try to get the most from her so that, but if we're in that second half of conference, David, and we can get 10-5 from her a night, that's going to be huge for us. And as you know, like I was expecting big things from her last year. And so really excited that she's back.
I want to ask you kind of a broad question. I don't know if you paid attention to the craziness of the start of the early signing period for football and the NIL deals and, and what's going on in the transfer portal. Do you see that morphing over to the sport of women's basketball as well? And if so, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I hope it doesn't get like football. Like I've been educating myself on how it's been going, and I'm totally blown away that they have like guys playing in the bowl game, but they are gonna go to another school. It's kind of wild. Like I remember we had an official visit, David, and a young man came downstairs, and I'm like, "Oh, you with football?" And he goes, "Yeah," and I said, who else are you considering? He goes, well, I'm already committed to Georgia Tech. Like, if they do that in women's basketball, you would be crushed. But so hopefully we can keep some sportsmanship as far as that's concerned. But with the NIL, I see it continuing to grow. And it's a concern because it's going to come down to, who writes the biggest check. And but you have to adjust. But I didn't come into the sport thinking, that we would be able to, write checks and convince people to come to our school. I thought it was more about relationships and that kind of stuff. And now it's seeming very businesslike. And so as far as I'm concerned, to answer your question, I can see it going there, not to that magnitude, but I can tell you this, like, women are different than men, women, I want to say this in the right way, just in case someone grabs this quote, but women value relationships. Women value being groomed, women also now want to be compensated. So I'm here for all of it, and hopefully that our supporters will see that that's necessary, and we'll be able to take advantage of it if presented.
I'm not trying to pry too much, but have you all experienced some of that on the recruiting trail to this point?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I thought sure I was going to get a kid in the 23 class, and now I am very concerned because of NIL and that kind of stuff. So it's very competitive, but I think the coaches that figure out what works for them at their university would be the most successful. You know, this is my fourth season here at Ole Miss. I kind of know what works for me here. So, is it going to be the 5-star freshman all the time? No, like that happens, once in a while with the Madison Scotts and, the other 5 stars we were able to sign. I'm okay with the 3.5, 4-star, and like Lane is, I'm into the whole portal movement. Like I'm into, the maturity and being able to integrate that with our roster and being able to balance because, it's so competitive and people are impatient. You can't do that with freshmen. It's just impossible to do. Before they try to put in the paper that you need to be fired the next day, you know.
Well, thank you for your candor.
Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions on Zoom?
Hey,
John?
John.
Yeah, hi, how are you?
Good. John, we need to get you a new computer for Christmas.
So the internet, Audie.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay. Okay, great. I wanted to kind of see with SEC play coming up soon, and you all on that 9-game win streak, and you guys have dominated on this win streak. You don't have a win by less than 12 points. And once you get to SEC play, I know that, the competition obviously ramps up.
Yeah.
What have you seen in 9-game win streak that you think will translate to SEC play from your team?
Well, hopefully we can build on the last 3 games, and I think the way we did our schedule was we wanted to see where we were immediately. Did we see where we were? Not, we really didn't. We just didn't play well. And then we wanted to kind of test our character on the road, by going to the Cal tournament and then mixing it up. And so it's been very unique. These last 3 games are, you have Samford, who was in the postseason. You have Texas Tech, a Power 5 school that took advantage of the portal. And then you have the number 16 team in the country with South Florida. And so what we hope to do is build on these last 3 games and improve on our offensive efficiency and spacing and transition. But one thing that I think is going to travel with us is our defense. That's something that we've always been passionate about. It carried us last year. I think we are ahead of where we were last year. So that's, encouraging for me as a coach and my staff. But we want to be in full form February, mid, we want to be we want to be looking like we want to be a postseason team by that time. Do I think we look like a postseason team right now? No. I just think we're figuring things out and not quote unquote fumbling the bag while we're doing it. We're trying to, figure out who we want to be, what our identity is, and, bringing Donetta back in the fold. And I think it would have been different had she not got hurt because my starting 5 would have been all returners. And no one knows what I need more than them, But there's seen a lot of growth. Seen a lot of growth from our team, and so there are tons of things. I don't know that I can specify all of them, but I do know we're gonna defend.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.